This is exciting. It's a sunny, beautiful day, no rain, and I'm going to recover some of my old trees today. Look at that. We have snow in the mountaintops. Wow, check out this view. That's some serious snow on those mountains. A not so subtle reminder that winter draws nigh. It was pretty cold here last night. I didn't check the temperature, so I don't know what it got down to, but we definitely had a pretty hard freeze. Of course, our fall crops are gonna be just fine. They're frost tolerant, but I think that's about it for our summer garden this year. It looks like there might be a few tomatoes in there salvageable. The dark cherry tomatoes, I think they were called the Dark Prince. I'm not sure. Ashley was reporting yesterday that they are actually getting to be edible at this point. We uncovered the garden over the last week because of all the rain we were getting, but we failed to get it covered back last night with the cold weather coming in. Alright, little buddy, where are we going?
The pups.
Hello, lady. Alright, watch out, girl. Oh, that was bad. Let's try that again. You gonna kick it? See if there's any good ones left. Indeed.
Daddy.
Can't get your mouth around it, right?
I made them 2 holes.
It looks like eyes.
Like a pumpkin.
A pumpkin ice. About 2.5 years ago, I created a micro patio container food forest system on a 10 by 12 patio, and this was one of my fruit trees that I had in the container, and this actually bared 7 peaches our first year having it in a container. I'm going to harvest our first peach off the tree. This is a really short peach tree. It's really tiny. It's at best 2 feet tall.
But it's so pretty.
The peaches, come on, Indra. The peaches are really small. If you can see the peach, this is my hand next to the peach. It's really small.
Oh, a tiny one. We have 6.
About 7 actually, because
Wow,
this one down here.
They're more.
I'm gonna take this one right
Here
here.
it goes.
There it is, our
Perfect.
first peach. This tree is a dwarf empress peach, And we actually ate some peaches off of this tree again this year. Of course, it's planted at my dad's house now. When I first created the system, I thought we would have our own property before winter. So I thought, oh, no problem. We'll be able to plant them in the fall when the leaves drop, and we'll have no problem overwintering them. Well, that didn't happen. It took us a lot longer to find our property. So I wound up planting a few of the trees here on my dad's property. This is one of my blueberry bushes I planted here also. We got a tremendous blueberry harvest off of this our first year, but it hasn't done so well here on this property. Can you say hi to everyone?
I'm everyone.
Here we have it, our first blueberry harvest off the patio food forest. This is my dwarf Eldorado peach tree. This is the one that we actually got the peaches off of, not the other one, not the Empress, the other one I was saying. I was mistaken about that. This graft, the graft on the rootstock has died. It did not make it after we transplanted it. There was a hard freeze like the night of or the next night after we transplanted it here, and I think it just shocked the root system too much. But the sucker has came up off the rootstock, which we can definitely use for creating new rootstock and grafting onto it.
It's November 12th, 11th?
Not yet, buddy. It's 10th.
10th, thank you. Somewhere around there. And we're transplanting Daniel's dwarf pear, peach? Peach. Up at our homestead.
Here are my apple trees. This is my dwarf Honeycrisp apple, and back here is my Enterprise. It is also a dwarf. I went with all dwarf varieties due to using them in a container system. These have not been transplanted. These are still in the original containers I had them in, which is really not good. Did the apple trees bear fruit at all this year?
These?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay.
I want to say they didn't blossom, but I'm not sure. I had so many blossoming trees I can't remember.
And these are my sea berries. When I first planted them, they were literally the size of this right here. So there's also strawberries growing in there.
Too,
How'd that happen?
That might be due to the chickens. And you have a nice grass one growing here.
Oh, wow.
But they'll come back.
So there's one more sea berry up top?
Yeah, the one up there is really, really healthy.
These sea berries are also in the original pots, which is also not good. It's the same reason as the apple trees. They stand a good chance of being root bound.
Side seat. We had power steering.
So here's my fourth sea berry. It's also known as Seabuckthorn. You may have heard it referred to as that. It produces an orange fruit, probably about the size of a grape or cherry tomato, somewhere in that size. And it's really astringent. It's not something you want to eat right off the plant, but it's highly medicinal. It can be mixed in with other medicinal fruits in smoothies and juices, that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a strawberry rooting on the side of the basket. Okay, you're going back in.
The good news for the apple trees though is I use these fabric containers. I think they're called smart pots, and what they do is they regulate the watering. If there's too much water, it'll seep out so it doesn't rot the roots out, but also it does, according to its marketing, it does what's known as air pruning. So when the roots reach the perimeter of the container, the exposure to air on the outside actually causes the roots to self-prune at that point to prevent or at least reduce the likelihood of it being root bound. I'm really happy to bring these trees to the homestead. When I first started dreaming of someday homesteading, in my mind I had this vision of pastures, rolling green pastures with contour swales going through and large food forests all planted in the swales and animals grazing in the interswale, the area between two swales. A large part of my vision was fruit trees and berry bushes. I'm just really drawn to them. I like a good annual vegetable garden, but that's not really an area that just like really draws me in. Fruit trees, berry bushes, perennial food production is what really interests me. But like so many other things with homesteading, it takes a lot of money to be able to install these huge systems of food forests and swales and all. We just don't have the budget right now for getting the heavy machinery in to put in mainframe swales. I was really hoping to order a batch of trees for a fall planting this year so we can start establishing something, not necessarily in a food forest setting, but just getting some trees established. But we really didn't have the budget for that either this year. So I'm so excited to have these guys back because I already bought them a couple years ago, and actually this is going to give me something to work with in the spring for plant propagation. The next step is going to be getting these guys planted, but I first need to wait till they go dormant when all the leaves drop. That's when all the energy in the plant, all the sap, all the nutrients in the trunk of the tree and the branches go down into the roots to hibernate for the winter. Once that occurs, they're going to be much more tolerant to a transplant scenario.